feel the silver venom pouring through my veins.
It just keeps getting better and better and more fun.
Hey guys, it's Kobi McCoull and welcome back to another episode of Tuesday Tunes. Thank you to all the new subscribers recently. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. So this is the studio so far. I'm actually really pleased with the progress. We've got lots still to do, but I'm really enjoying all the natural light that's flooding through the windows and the door, especially in the morning. Obviously I'm going to have to do a lot of acoustic treatment to get everything finely tuned, but it's already shaping up really nicely. There's lots on the list of things to do today and I'm going to take you guys along with me.
Oh, I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, I don't need to be loved by you.
Take several breaths to arrive to a tabletop. Come onto the toes, send the hips back.
We could just go into the shed.
Oh, I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, I don't need to be loved by you. Fire in my lungs, can't bite the devil on my tongue. Oh no, I don't need to be loved by you. See my lips on her mouth, everybody's talking now.
He almost overshot it.
You know it's true. Yeah, said I was born to run, I don't belong to anyone. Oh no, I don't need to be loved by you. I don't hide blurry eyes like you, like you. Don't need to be loved by you. Fire in my lungs, can't bite the devil on my tongue, you know. Don't need to be loved by you.
So, I want to take you guys through this beat that I've made. It's a pretty heavy, dark trap vibe. And before I do, there's someone doing some sort of thing with a chainsaw outside, so there's a lot of noise coming in, so I can't open the window, and now the computer screen is getting really hot, so I've got a bag of frozen vegetables behind it to try and keep it cool. Otherwise, I can't record the screen and show you everything that I've done. I'm going to give you a little demo of what I've made so far, and then we'll jump into the breakdown.
She whispered, darling, darling, show me your heart. And I thought I can't help falling apart. I never felt us taking all that I have. I never seen infinity quite like that. I feel it taking over me, calling me, all of me. Feel the silver venom pouring through my veins.
So, I started with the guitar, so let's start there. Because it was the first thing I put in, it was tempting to put in too many things. So I actually put in quite a few different ideas and then kept the best one. So I started off with this melody. And that was actually the electric guitar that I recorded that with. Now it is actually coming to this guitar channel here, but I've turned it down completely, because if I turn it up, I just didn't want that blippiness, and I just can't really get a good tone out of this Pacifica. So I just turned it right down and sent it to the reverb so that all you hear is the reverb. That actually left a really nice sonic character, but it was away in the background and kind of setting an ambient feel. Then I wanted to use the acoustic guitar to make up for that and have it be more prominent and quite dry. So I made this little arpeggio. And then just put that on both sides. There's quite a lot of white noise within that sample. You can also hear me breathing, but I liked that rawness and I actually felt it added to the overall atmosphere, so I just left it. Then I added in some atmospheres. And I got those from that original sample with the same technique that I used in previous videos. If you've watched the last 2 videos, I think I used the same technique. So I just recorded the effects from that and put it in here, just to create a nice ambient atmosphere. And then there was another element that I added in, some plucks. And when I played all those together, it didn't sound too bad, but it was just a bit too busy. Although they add some nice tension to it, it's just too much going on all at once. So I've muted them, but I can always add them back in other places if I want to. Then the next best thing to talk about, I would say, would be the bass. The first thing that I went for was this 808, that I haven't actually found a place that I felt was appropriate to use it, because it's quite a unique 808, because it's got this really high-end raspiness to it. And I kept it very simple. I didn't really need to do that much to it. I just did a little bit of processing just to try and bring that high end out even more. So I just EQ'd that up and added a little bit of compression to it as well. So I've pushed it up just a little bit there, and then also added a wave shaper just to add a little bit more distortion, and then the bass itself overall is compressed and then obviously limited when I added in the drums. And speaking of the drums, that was the next element that I went towards. Now, I went for a contrast of sounds with the drums. I wanted the kick to really complement the 808 and be nice and heavy, and I used 2 different snares, one that's more atmospheric and reverbed, and another that was more dry and clean. So there's the reverbed one, and I added that in a couple of different places just where it felt appropriate. Then I added in all the other elements just to add a feeling of quicker pace and more energy. Yeah, hey, yeah, hey. So one of the loops is just this hi-hat loop that I added. Just to really speed the feeling up. And then I also added in this other loop that's got these kind of higgledy, biggledy, bockety, bookety sounds, which are really cool. And I pushed them hard across to the right, and then I pushed the other hi-hat loop a little bit across to the left, just to give some width to the drums so that the kick and the snare had more room to occupy straight down the center. I have 2 different hats here. So one is following this pattern, and then it runs at the end. And then the other one is following a half beat pattern. And it just makes the track bounce a little bit more with the kick and the snare. And it's amazing when you listen to that little Foley loop underneath here and other sounds like that. They can seem a little bit ridiculous or a bit out of place. Sometimes certain sounds that you wouldn't think would fit really do fit. So you've just got to actually trust them, and one of the ways to test that out is to actually add in the other elements as well, and then you can see what it all sounds like together, because so long as it works with the rest of the sound, that's totally fine. Now there is another bass element that I added in, which I actually took from this lead down here in the instrument. So the bass sound itself is like this. But I only wanted that bass sound to come in the parts of the chord progression that require a bit more tension and darkness. But for the rest of the time I just left it with the 808. Then they played together in the bigger parts. They actually work as well as they do, I think, because there's a lot of high end in them. So although they're the bass sounds, they both have a lot of high end, which means that they still occupy their own space and you can hear them relatively well. Very often mixing two different bass sounds together can actually cause a lot of problems. So then the lead, all I had the lead doing was mimicking that guitar melody. But in the second section where it's bigger, I just have more saturation and distortion on it. And I love the grit that that adds to the overall sound. So that was the instrumental overall. Oh. This is what's so cool about being consistent and developing your sound over time, is the more things you add in that you really like the sound of, the more it builds on itself. It just keeps getting better and better and more fun. I'm really excited to keep doing more with that, but my focus isn't predominantly on producing final songs or anything like that at the moment, because the goal is to get the studio finished so that then I can mix and master and produce them at a higher standard in there.
So now it's time to go and get a little bit more work done in the studio.
She whispered, darling, darling, show me your heart. And I thought, I can't help falling apart. I never felt us taking all that I have. I never seen infinity quite like that. I feel it taking over me, calling me, all of me. Feel the silver venom pouring through my veins.
If you guys have any questions about any of this kind of stuff, or if there are other parts of the process that you want to see in more detail, please do leave me a message down below or send me a message on my Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. So thanks for checking out this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, but until then, bye.
I never felt us taking all that I have. I never seen infinity quite like that. I feel it taking over me, calling me, all of me. Feel the silver venom pour